Alright guys, so this is part 2 of my greenhouse build. If you haven't seen part 1, I'm going to put a link to that up here. In part 1 I showed you how to get it all squared, all the corners, all nice and square, and the flooring, of course. I put the weed barrier on the ground. So the next thing we need to do is put in all the ground stakes on each side of the greenhouse, and let me show you how to do that. And what we're going to do now is we're going to get the ground stakes, measure 4 feet from the corner, mark it here, and we're going to use a string as our guide to keep these all. We're going to butt it right up against the string, and we're going to pound our stakes in. Now we have to burn a hole in here like we did that, because this won't cut through this. So we'll burn a hole every 4 feet and put these right up against the string and pound these in. Alright, before I start marking my ground stakes, I want to show you what I did. This mark here is a 24-inch mark. This whole stake is 30 inches. So I marked it 24 inches here. That's the length of the stake here. Then I marked it another inch here. I did it to all my stakes. So that's where my string is going at this point. That gives me room to put my post driver on top of here without messing anything up. But anyways, that's where my string is, the line. 26 inches from, or I'm sorry, 25 inches from here to here, because this is my 24-inch mark here. So I did that to all my posts, so that's where my line's going, and that's how I leveled everything. So now when I drive these into the ground, I got to bring that string right up to that 25-inch mark. That way I know all of them, all of the tops will be all the same. Now, they do tell you in the instructions, if you do mess up the end here from pounding it, and if you don't have a driver like I have, and you just hit it with a hammer, using the bolt, if it's not too messed up, if it is too messed up, you can cut that off. But if you're going to cut that off, make sure you cut the rest of them off too. Try to make them all the same, is what I'm trying to say. Alright, so I got my tape measure laid out here. This is a 30-footer. But I put it right in the middle of the ground stake. I'm going to be marking it with, this seems to work better. This is a paint marker. If you can find one, it's made by Dychem. I don't know if you can see that. I've had this thing for years in my toolbox from my machinist days. Anyways, mark it however best you can, paint whatever you got. And every 4 feet, starting with the center of the ground stake here. And then after that, after we mark it all the way down, we're going to burn a hole in it. So I finished marking both sides, 4 feet all the way down, and the only thing I have to do now is burn a hole right where the mark is and close to that string. Okay, it should work. Alright, so I have all my holes burned out on each side of the greenhouse. I have my ground stakes laid out on the sides, on each side, ready to be pounded in, and we're going to do that next. One thing I forgot to mention is in my first video is if you order this greenhouse, it came to me, a truck driver came, and I was thinking this is going to be somehow all thrown on a pallet or something, you know, but it all comes in separate pieces. I had 20 pieces that came with this. Everything is wrapped up really nice. Everything's nice and tight. All the poles are all taped together with that shrink wrap stuff, and all the hardware for it come in a nice box. Okay, and all that fit in the back of my pickup truck. I have an 8-foot bed on my pickup. It should fit in the back of a standard or a 6-foot pickup. It'll be a little tight, but it'll fit, no problem. So just so you know what to expect when it arrives at your place. So let's get started here. I'm going to pound these stakes in, and as you remember, on the stakes I marked from the bottom of the post, because they're 30-inch posts. On the bottom of the post I measured up 25 inches, made a mark there, and as I did with all my posts, the corner posts, and I put a line, and I'm going to drive those posts down right to that line so I know that all the tops are going to be the same. Alright, so we're going to start these by hand first. We're going to put the ground stakes right up against the line here. Put it in that hole, put it right up against the line, and put the bolt in there to keep the ends from getting messed up. And we're going to start these. So I'm going to start these all by hand. Then I'm going to finish it up with the post driver there. Alright, last one. Alright, now I just got to pound them in with the post driver right to the line I have set up there, and that way they'll all be the same. Alright, so I had to stop. I was almost halfway through, and I noticed the washer here, this is a 1-inch washer. There's a 1-inch bolt, a 1-inch washer here. What happened is I had to keep flipping this washer over because it started getting bowed, or not bowed, but kind of like a dish. Started getting dished out, and that was kind of messing up the ends, as you can see here. So my advice to you is, they're going to give you one of these washers. Go out to a Home Depot, Lowe's, or any hardware store and get a 1-inch washer, an extra one, so you double it. I had a 1/4-inch plate, and I cut it and I drilled a hole in it and just made a nice big old thick washer to go right underneath that sucker, and that's not going to bend. So we're going to continue on. Much better. All right, I am officially done pounding ground steaks. That bolt is extremely hot. That's why I'm wearing the gloves. Well, I'll tell you, that extra washer really helped out a lot, because if you look at the ends here, man, it looks really good. So if you end up getting a greenhouse and you get that big bolt here in the washer, go out and get yourself an extra washer, or an extra one, even get it, put 3 of them on, or 4. It'll really help out, give it a lot of strength, and it won't dish like this one did, but this one did not at all. And it worked. It got nice and shiny though. So I'm outside working, my wife calls me, she says, "You want some watermelon?" I'm dying of thirst here, so what better way to hydrate yourself than eating watermelon that you grew on your own property? Now that is awesome. Very sweet. so what I've done on the bows here, I put 3 of these together on the ground here. I don't know if you can see that. So that's the arch. Now each bow is going to have one end that's crimped. You can see that like that. And the other end that's not crimped. So this will fit into the other one that you put on there. And it takes 3 of them to make that arch. And what they want you to do is on each end of the, once you put these 3 together, is mark from the end 6 inches and make a mark here. That's going to go into the ground stakes that we pounded into the ground there. It's going to go into those 6 inches. Okay? So once you put these together on the ground, once you slide this end into the other one, you're going to put a self-tapping, they call it a tech screw, and they give you a whole bunch of bags of those, but just to keep them from pulling apart. So you're going to put one in there, and don't put it on the top where the top of the plastic's going to be, because it'll rub up against it, and we don't want that. So always put it on the side or something. Okay? Okay, so I'm on the ground here. These are the 2 that go together. Like I said, just 3 of these sections, 1, 2, and a third one over there. What they want you to do is put it together. Get yourself one of the self-tapping screws that they give you. And we're going to put a self-tapping screw right on the side, right about there. I got this set on drill, and I'll strip it if I do that. It's not enough. There. So now these will not slide apart anymore. And we're going to do that to the other section too. Alright, same thing here. We're going to put these together. And then put a self-tapping screw right on the side. And now that won't come apart. And there's one. So we're going to do that to the rest of them. Well guys, that was fun putting these hoops in. The problem I was having was I was trying to help my wife get her end in first by lifting mine so it slides in the pipe better. And then once hers was in, I tried to get mine, and every time I'd push it would overshoot it, and I put a black mark here, as I said earlier, and it would overshoot it and go past it, and I have to pull it back out again. So it's a little rough, but we got it. Okay, now what we have to do to keep these from sliding out again, of course, we got to put these self-tapping screws here. Now, obviously we can't put it on the outside because we're going to be putting a board here. The plastic's going to be on this side, so you want nothing on the outside. We could put it right directly here, but I'm afraid, I don't know. It's probably best to put it here on a 45 to be away from this edge and, of course, from anything else. So I would suggest putting it either on the side or on a 45 like this. So I'm going to put it on a 45. Right there. And that'll keep it from coming up. And we got to do that to all of them. Alright, so we have all the self-tapping screws through the ground stakes into the hoops on all of them. And we have to remember that all the screws holding these hoops sections together, they have to be on the inside of the greenhouse, obviously, because you can't put the screws on the outside because the plastic was going to go up against it and it'll rip the plastic. So remember, all the self-tapping screws have to go on the inside. The next thing we have to do here is put a purlin going all the way down. It's just a support beam, more or less. It's another 1-inch conduit. It goes all the way down to keep the hoops from, you know, flapping back and forth and all. It holds everything nice and tight and rigid. So that's what we're going to do next.